Good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here today as we celebrate the mission to remember the fallen, honor those that serve and their families, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. Today, there are many like us who are gathered at cemeteries to honor the men and women who served in our nation's armed services. Some, like our own Richard Burke, gave the full measure of devotion to the ideals of freedom. Many others gave years of their life away from home and family to serve. We also want to thank those who are currently serving, whether here or abroad. We honor them and their families for the sacrifices they make each day to keep our country safe from terrorism, hatred, and injustice. Quoting our 40th President, Ronald Reagan, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in their bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed to them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like to live in the United States where men were free." Beside me, we have a wreath for each of the branches of service. One for the United States Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marines. And the very last wreath is in honor of the 93,000 United States servicemen and women from all branches of service whose last known status was either prisoner of war or missing in action. These individuals have never returned to their families and homes. We shall not forget them. Today our guest speaker is Tom Sperling. Tom is a member of the Church of Christ, but he is also a relative of mine. His grandmother and my great-grandmother were sisters, so it's indeed a small world. Tom was in the Navy in 1961, retiring in 1987, and he's going to talk just a few minutes about his time of service.
Well, it's going to be a short, impromptu thing. I don't have a prepared speech. Donna just hit me with this Wednesday night. And I agreed to do it. And I'm proud of the time that I spent in service. I started in 1961. I joined the Army Reserve. I did my basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, better known as Fort Lost in the Woods. Came home, stayed in reserves. My reserve unit was disbanded, and I still had I still had 2 years left on a 6-year obligation. So I had a brother-in-law that was in the Seabees down at the airport. So I went down and they said, "Yeah, well, come on down, we'll be glad to have you." So I went into the Navy in 1966 and retired in 1987. I had a lot of good times, a lot of not so good times, but I did a lot of traveling. Like we were talking earlier, I was attached to a CB battalion. And of course, CBs, if none of you know, is we build and fight. They're construction engineers. And of course, I was a paper pusher, so I didn't have to get out and dig in the mud and hammer. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I met a lot of good people. I made a lot of friends. I've been to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I've been to Little Creek, Virginia. I've been to Camp Pendleton. I've been to 29 Palms, California. Been to Hawaii twice with the Navy, and those were 3-week ventures. We did construction work for the bases over there. There was just a small detachment of us. I think there was 30 of us that went over each time. It was very interesting. I wouldn't take $1 million from my experience. Don't know that I'd want to do it again. If I did, I wouldn't. I wish many a time I'd have stayed on active duty, which I didn't, but I stayed long enough to retire. I am drawing retirement from it. And our medical benefit now through the military is absolutely phenomenal. It beats anything that you'd ever want to. I spent 2 stints in the hospital this past year. One time was over $100,000, and time Medicare and TRICARE took care of it, I owed nothing. And you try to tell these kids today, and I would highly recommend to any young man, if they don't have anything in mind, I think everybody should serve at least 1 year, because you can learn a lot. And respect and discipline is utmost. I strongly feel that way. Now, some people are cut out for it. Of course, back when I went in, we were treated a whole lot different than they are now. If you go in now, if you don't like it, say, well, I don't like this, I won't get out. And they, out the door they go. But to me, it's, you learn respect. And to me, this 83 years ago, last Saturday, Pearl Harbor was bombed. And if you think back, it brings a lot of things to mind. It was very interesting. One of the things that I would like to tell you about is I decided one year, instead of going with the CB battalion, I wanted to go aboard ship. So I was assigned out of San Diego to an aircraft carrier. I thought, oh, this would be nice. Well, I got out to San Diego that Sunday, and I got on the oldest flat top they had. I'm telling you, I walked on there and I thought, what have I gotten into? But I was assigned to the legal office, and I learned a lot, and it was very interesting. I got aboard on Sunday. Tuesday morning, we pulled out for 10 days sea duty, cruised up and down the coast of California, and when I wasn't busy, I could go up on the 07 level of the carrier and watch planes taking off and landing. It was really a great experience. I really enjoyed it. And we had closed circuit TV on the ship. I could sit in the office and watch it. But then I was what they call a yeoman, which is a company clerk, paper pusher. And we had a Marine detachment aboard ship. And this one gentleman got in a little bit of trouble, and they took him up to they call captain's mast. We were in the captain's mast while we were out at sea on the bridge of the ship, up where the commander is. And you talk about an experience, that was really a good experience. I really enjoyed it. But other than that, I think the biggest thing is we must remember, like Donna said, these wreaths you're putting out today are for veterans who have passed, and we should always remember them, because someday we will be there too. And I think that it's just the utmost utmost importance. I've been to Bloomfield when they do theirs. They're doing theirs today also at Bloomfield. Veteran Cemetery. If you've never been down there, you ought to make a trip. It's a sight to behold. It really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful cemetery. And of course, we was there twice, I think. And the group of people and I think it's Byron Lang has a trailer, no, it's Buckeyes that brings in a load of these wreaths to put on down there. And people just go, when the program's over and they grab the wreath and they put them out. It's a beautiful, beautiful cemetery. But the main thing is respect, respect, respect. And that's one thing that a lot of kids today do not respect. And that's what I feel is very important. Anybody got any questions?
What you got in your pocket? The most important piece of paper you'll ever have.
What to do with it? Here it is. Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll recite with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody got any questions?
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for your service.
My pleasure. I have a lot of people stop me and they see me wearing my cap and they say thank you for your service, and I always say, well, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to do it. And I'd do it again. But it's an experience like none other. I can't, like I said, I made a lot of friends. I used to correspond with a lot of them. Of course, they're all older now in the sea. I had some friends I worked with, and one lived in Minneapolis and one lived in Chicago. And I used to go, when I was stationed in the Seabees, I was assigned to the regimental headquarters, which was in Chicago. And I was stationed out of Cape. That's where my records were, but about every month, well, I was either in Cape, St. Louis, or Chicago. I'd get orders in the mail, say, you go here, you go there. And Chicago's a long trip. My car. Now, I have driven up there a number of times, and I've also flown in there. Flying into O'Hare Airport and renting a car, driving up to Great Lakes. That's quite an experience. But other than that, anybody got any questions?
Where'd you get the little clipping that you had special? Your little newspaper clipping?
Oh, Mary Ann found, I had it. She's got a scrapbook.
Okay, I know for something special.
No, I've got scrapbooks of all kinds of military stuff in it, and I was looking for it this morning, and she found it. But, other than
And
that,
she takes care of you, isn't it?
yes, she does. She does take care of it.
In just a few minutes, we're gonna place wreaths on the cemeteries. We say the veteran's name as we place the wreath to ensure that they are not forgotten and to honor their memory. So we'll do that in just a moment. We want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to you who are going to help place these wreaths today, and to say thank you to all of our veterans. It wouldn't be the U.S. without them. Thank you.
Well, Donna's grandfather was in World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and her dad was in the Army,
Mm-hmm.
so she has knowledge of this,
And two uncles.
you know, that's right.
Let's go play Wreaths before it starts to rain really hard.
This year, due to the rain, we will not be showing each wreath being placed along with their names, but we'll give you a view of some of the stones, as well as people who are now laying those wreaths at our various stones.
I should have two right here. Okay. What's Sarah got? Barb, who you got? I think you're down on that. You got
Finally, we take a look at each individual flag for the different branches. Here we have the U.S. Army. We have the United States Marines. We have the Air Force. The special flag for those who were prisoners of war and missing in action. We have a flag for the United States Navy. United States Merchant Marines. The United States Coast Guard. And finally, our newest branch, the Space Force. We thank you for joining us as we remember those who have served our country and have enabled us to still have the freedoms and rights and special privileges that we share yet today. And we thank the Lord Almighty for His blessings to us in providing for our nation. Amen.